Well, another episode. This is episode 11 of Fuego Founders. This is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario, and
Yesenia, just the CEO. I'm excited because it's lucky number 11.
That's right.
It's been a pleasure working with you, doing this podcast, getting to have guests in our program that share amazing stories. So, Joe, tell us, who do we have today?
We have somebody very, very special. I want to say a lot of things, but I don't, because I want you to hear it straight from him. But one of the things that we've seen in our community, that there's a lot of struggle with financial literacy, right? That is something that we don't really talk about. We don't really talk about banking systems. The mattress might be where we hold our money, if we have any, and those type of things. But it's just interesting to see and learn about what's going on in America. But what better person to speak today but Mr. Fabian. Thank you so much, Fabian, for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Awesome.
So tell us a little bit about your background, right? What exactly brought you to this point? Because you have a little bit of everything, right? You're a world traveler. You've worked in the oil and gas industry, but more importantly, you actually served our country too as well.
Yes.
I did. I've come a long way, right? So it's a journey. Life is a journey, and it doesn't stop, right? You got to continue to move forward. But how did I get here? Man, struggles, first of all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And just a lot of experience and learning by hard knocks.
Yeah.
Right? And then you learn with education.
Correct.
That's right. You don't stop
You
learning.
don't stop. You got to continue learning and investing in yourself, meaning not only money-wise, but education-wise, right? That's how you invest in yourself. That takes you a long way. That's right. The longevity of the journey.
Right.
Most definitely.
Well, thank you so much for your service. I'm excited to hear. So tell us about your background, where you come from, family, right? How everything.
All right. Well, I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
Parents from Mexico. I was born here in the United States, so
Awesome.
first generation American. Raised in Houston, and what can I say? I don't know. I was in the Army for 4 years. Spent 4 years in Germany, and came back with a different mentality. I think that's where I learned about culture, other culture outside of my culture, right?
Right.
So now I'm learning about foods and conversation, right? Language, and I really enjoy that. Living in Germany, I was able to travel in Europe, and when I came back to the States, I couldn't stop traveling. I had to continue seeing the world, and I try to do that on an annual basis. I try to leave United States.
How often do you leave? Like every 6 months or
Pretty often.
once a month?
No, not once a month, but I would say a minimum would be once a year. But I'll take 15 to 30 days off to be in a different country.
That's amazing. So I'm assuming that what you're doing now allows you to be flexible with your schedule too, right?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
That's exactly right. So what I'm doing now, and the company I work for, they have annual trips, global annual trips. So that was just a bonus for me, because I was doing that anyway.
Right.
So now to travel with the people you work with and have a like-minded folks, it's just a bonus. I really enjoy that. So.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest impact of being in the Army, being stationed in Germany made on your life, right? Obviously, you talk about the culture, the food, the conversations, but what was that one thing you could say that really changed your mindset to say, wow, it's different, right? The world is different from Houston, Texas, being raised first American. What do you think that impact was?
Yeah, I think it opened my eyes to there's more opportunity. The more you know, the more opportunity there is. And that's one of the biggest things. And the flexibility the military gave me to continue to educate, right? I believe living in Houston and just going to high school here, as far as I went in Houston, I was kind of only doing what I'm told, where it wasn't open, and you have options.
Right.
When you have options, you can choose what you want to study,
Correct.
which avenue you want to take. And if you want to change your mind, if you decide it's not for you, right, you can change your mind. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I really like having options. And I think while living in Germany, I had those options. So I hope that, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's great.
And that actually goes to the younger generation too, because now, people think that you have to have it together once you graduate high school, but there's options, like you said. I mean, you can start college, take your basics, but then you can always switch it whenever you feel like it, right?
That's exactly, that's where I was going with that. I appreciate you mentioning. So what happens today, if we're not informed, right? And at the time when I was in high school, I wasn't informed. My parents were not informed. So we didn't know there was options out there. We didn't know we can take a class and then change our mind.
Right.
I mean, something so simple, right?
Yeah.
Or we didn't know that we can go to college and because there's grants out there. No one even talked to me about grants in my time.
Definitely.
Right. So there's grants out there. There's ways to get education without getting the money from paying up front.
Right.
Right. So you can get an education and pay later.
That's right.
Something to keep in mind is whatever you learn, nobody can take it away from you.
That's right.
Right. So take that opportunity and get educated.
Yeah, it's funny when you say that. That actually hit home with me because I was actually struggling whether I was going to go to college or not. And my dad said, he goes, look, I'm not ever going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. He goes, but there's two things that I feel that no one can take away from you, right? Yeah. Money will come and go. He said, but number one, your education, once you have it, it's yours. Nobody can take care of it, take it away from you. Right. And number two, he goes, those trips that we take, those memories we create, once you have them, they're yours, right? Right. Money will come and go. So that made a huge impact on my life. And there I was pretty much the last week you could possibly sign up for school. I went and I signed up. And then obviously finished off at the University of Houston, right? Go Cougs all the way. But I share that with you because it's so important. But what you said and what's really hitting home is the information. And that's why we do Fuego Founders, is to bring you insights and information from people that have done this, have walked in your shoes before, and now you get true information that you need to make better decisions.
That's right. So the more you're informed, the better decisions you make, right? And it's also always great to make decisions based on data, not necessarily your gut. I mean, our gut gives us a good inside feeling, but if you have, that's your normal instinct, your gut feeling. So, but if you have data and your gut telling you to do something, right? It's easier. It's easier to make a decision,
right?
Or it's easier to say yes or easier to say no because now you have your internal, your gut's telling you, plus your knowledge.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can also relate to that because I'm first generation Salvadoran parents and also the oldest of all my brothers and my cousins, right? So whenever I went to high school, I was like, okay, well, I'm good. High school was it. Like, I'm like, I graduated, here's a diploma. Like, I'm making my parents proud, but then there's the education, not the education, the information that parents are obtaining to give to the students, or they're like, oh, well, like just ask school or see what they can tell you, or tú ya sabes, haz bien, they just like go on your own. I'm like, there's so many information.
It was good for you. It was good for you.
Exactly.
I've heard that a lot. And I'm like, oh, I kind of came for you for advice.
Yes.
But I think what happens too is that our parents only had a lack of, they had a lack of education and information, right? And if you think about it, as life progresses, what are we getting more? Information, more data, and so forth. Right. I tell my kids, I said, my kids had to ask Alexa for stuff, right? We had to go to the encyclopedia.
Yeah, the dictionary.
That's if you even had that volume or whatever that was. Yeah. And so the information is just at our hands immediately, right? And so you got to be careful on who you ask, right? That's why asking professionals, right? Like, I would not go to this person over here. I'm going to go to her for a tax specialist. And that's why I refer her to those people, because that's what she does, right? Same thing when it comes to financial literacy, retirements, that kind of stuff, insurance. I'm going to go to a person like you. And so it's very important that you start creating that network around you and know who you can tap into to get that information that you need.
That's right. Your network is your net worth.
We hear it a lot.
Yeah,
we hear it a lot
That's
here.
a true statement,
Yes.
It really is.
No doubt, no doubt.
So
I was gonna say this last thing. Out of all the places you've traveled, what is one of your favorite places, Fabian?
Wow, what can I say?
I know you probably have a lot. But
Yeah, I'll name three because I can't decide. I think Singapore was a beautiful place. It's very clean. I recommend everybody go to Singapore if you can make it out there. Machu Picchu, I would say that would be my top. Actually,
Really?
Machu Picchu.
Wow.
But you got to have you better be healthy, man.
That's what I was gonna say.
Your legs-
You gotta be climbing.
You better work out before you go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you show up, you're gonna take a lot of pictures if you're not moving around. But, but I think it's best to get in there and get in the weeds. It's a jungle, right? I mean,
Right.
Machu Picchu. So trekking in Peru is beautiful, and Costa Rica. I like Costa Rica a lot. Spent a month there this year, actually.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
that's
nothing like nature, right?
right. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you are currently doing. How are you helping the community?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm educating. I'm part of a financial literacy campaign,
Okay.
and what we do is educate families and small. We focus on small businesses, families, and individuals. And what we do is I'm gonna use this as my tool here. We help them increase cash flow. Increase cash flow. Help with debt management, or educate and help debt management, and proper protection. We help them build wealth if that's what they want,
Yeah.
right? And retirement, focus on retirement as well.
Yeah.
So we start off with the basics. A lot of people want to be rich or have a lot of money, but if they were to get money really fast, they wouldn't know what to do
Right.
with it.
Yeah.
And they'll lose it as fast as they get it, just because they're not educated in finance. They don't understand how money works, right? How can they don't know how to make their own money make money,
Yeah.
right? So that's something that we're missing, especially in the Latin culture, is just missing at a very high level. We focus on Latinos, but we help everybody.
Yes.
So when we host classes every day during the week, every day,
Wow.
English, Spanish, and Mandarin. So
Wow.
these are online courses. So that's what we do, right?
Okay.
We focus on that. We want to train people to understand what to do with their money. If they have money, what can you do with your money so
Yeah.
your money can make money?
Yes.
Right.
Instead, like being under the mattress, like you said, or
Yeah,
just
it's not
in the
making
bank.
you any money. You
That's
know.
right. There's a lot of old tradition way of holding money, right? But it doesn't make money for you. It's
That's
just
it.
sitting there.
Right.
Yeah, I think part of it is number one is the lack of education,
Exactly.
but number two is afraid, right? Like, they want to hold it, right?
That security.
And that's why it's called currency, right? Because currency, it flows,
It
right?
flows, yeah.
It flows. And if you have it under your mattress, currency is not going to flow.
Yeah.
Right. What was interesting, I was reading a statistic actually on your website that 77 million people don't even pay their bills on time.
Yeah.
Right.
Sad, right?
I mean, it's just crazy.
yeah.
Crazy.
So this is United States statistics. That's
Yeah.
right.
Sometimes I forget.
Hey.
I just forget.
Oh no! I paid. No. I think what happens is that there's some people that do it to keep their money because they're trying to still make money with their money, but sometimes it's because they're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. So they'll
Yeah,
say-
and that happens a lot. A lot of times we don't save enough to manage our current lifestyle. I mean, we each have a lifestyle based
Correct.
on our earnings, right?
Right.
And some of us have lifestyle based on what we think we should be.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
We should be, or a way we should be living,
Yeah.
but we're not even making the money to live that
Yeah.
way. So what
Yes.
do? Right? We start getting credit cards.
Credit card.
Now you're living off of credit cards, and every paycheck's going to your credit card.
That's
Nothing's
exactly-
going to you,
Yeah.
right? I mean, rule of thumb: pay yourself first. Pay yourself first, and then you pay your bills and credit
Yeah.
cards, right? But that's the kind of stuff we talk about in our courses. Very basic. We start off very basic because everybody can relate to money. Everybody can relate.
Or it can be overwhelming, especially
It's
I
very
think.
overwhelming,
Yes,
yeah.
for the Hispanic community, they really don't like to talk about money or finances
Yeah.
or
Not
or
in public,
death,
they don't.
right?
I mean, I'll tell you what they do like to do is talk about how they spend their money.
Oh yeah.
Las fajitas.
Las carnes
Quinceañeras,
quinceañeras.
las bodas,
True.
right? And I'm like over the top of deal,
Yeah.
right? And when you're not prepared, what do you do for these big events like quinceañeras? You start asking for padrinos, right? Yeah. But it's a custom. We got accustomed to that.
Right.
It's not always the best thing to do. It's even better when you can pay for it yourself. That's how I feel.
Yeah. No,
and then invite people and everybody have a good time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But we all have different views. But if we can at least help some the folks who want to break that chain, right? Our old traditions, man, this is what we do, man. And most of our, I don't want to say clients, but most of our folks who are in our program want to change, right? They know that how they were brought up, it wasn't necessarily the best way in regards to money-wise and how we save money and make money and spend money.
No, and that's awesome because once you start learning, you want to teach others, and then that's where your group starts creating, right? Like you just start hanging out with like-minded people.
Like-minded folks,
yes,
yeah. And there's some folks that we have people that are truly professionals. We have doctors, lawyers, a Harvard professor who has joined our campaign because she just sees the importance of educating at this level, right? The most basic level,
right?
To help the common folk, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The common folk.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, if you're just now tuning in to Fuego Founders, my name is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario, and
Yesenia, just the CEO. And we also want to give a thanks to SAS Tax and Business Solutions for being one of our sponsors.
Yep. And also Joe Ochoa, Rusini Amor, thank you. Always protecting your home. And America's Empresarios. And we have a special guest. If you're just now tuning in, we have Fabian, and he's talking about financial literacy and how important it is to know and have the knowledge and the information that you need to make a better impact on your family.
That's right. And I'm loving all the information. So tell us a little bit about how this has changed your life.
Nice. Wow. That's a big loaded question.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know. Let's see what
Let's start.
Let's see what
We want the raw.
Hear.
We want to know. We can cry a little too.
I do it all the time.
Yes.
When you talk about passion, right? You have passion when you're changing people's lives. Here.
Right.
That's what we're doing. Right. We're changing people's lives. Well, what can we say?
You are making him cry, man. Come on. No, because he's passionate about it. I mean, when we talked before, right? It's because when you think about the struggles that your family has had and not had enough money to pay basic needs sometimes, right? And to get to a point where what you're doing with families and changing their lives, that makes a big impact, right? And you could tell you're doing this, it's not for you to make money, it's you're giving back. And that's what I love. You're giving back and changing.
You hit the nail on the head. I don't feel this is a job at all. And I'm not chasing money.
That's when you know it's right.
I'm very fortunate, right, where I've struggled already. I've already done my time, sort of say, right?
Yep.
So to speak. Meaning I worked my entire life. I don't know anything else other than work. So now I am trying to prevent people from doing what I did.
And enjoying life at the same time.
And I'm enjoying life. That's right. That's right. And if I can help, one family a month, I get excited about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm changing their lives. It's not a one-time deal. I'm not giving them money, right? I'm showing them what they can apply for the rest of their life, and then they can teach their kids.
Teach a man how to fish, right?
That's it.
Right.
That's it. It's all we do.
In this case, teach a family how to fish,
teach
right?
a family how to fish. We're teaching 18-year-olds, which I love that. Young kids are coming, right? Because they want to manage their money. They're already thinking about money. They're telling me, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire," and it's a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do when you have that money? They don't have a plan other than spending it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things we talk about in our household is when you're young, you're going to work for money, but eventually, when you get the knowledge and the skill set, you'll have money work for you. Right. Major difference.
That's exactly
Major
right.
difference.
No, that's right. I was telling my son last night because he got $1,000 from his birthday. And he's like,
man.
he was like, I want a birthday party, but So I'm like, okay, what are you going to do with that money? And he's like, well, I want to go to the mall. And I'm like, why don't you invest it or let, someone borrow it and charge interest? And he's like, well, how does that work? And then I started explaining to him because I'm like, instead of you going to the mall and spending that money, have the money work for you, get some interest, and from that interest, you can go buy the shoes that you want.
Yeah, just wait a little longer.
Yes,
right?
exactly. But he's like, no, why don't we just go to the mall prior, and then whatever's left, and that's the mentality, right?
Yeah.
That we were talking about. And I'm like,
right.
no, let's change that
Yeah.
switch,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
a great example, right? And I like what you mentioned, where why spend it now where you can invest and spend
the interest,
a little
yeah,
later, right?
yeah,
So with time, right? With time, your money makes money,
exactly.
and that's a great,
Yeah.
perfect example.
Yeah, like I drew it, and he still was like, well, no, I'm like, look, by this time you're gonna have 1,600. You know, if you do 5% interest a month or something.
Yeah.
He's like, let me think about it. Let me think who I'm gonna ask.
So, but you took the opportunity to do some
Yes.
training,
Yeah,
right? To
exactly.
teach them.
Yes.
Education right there.
Yes, he's 12, so hopefully I'm starting young with them.
Always.
No,
Yes.
you have to at that age, because if they're 18, 19, you're trying to start that, it's really too hard.
Yes.
And I hate to say this, but who truly is responsible for the instant gratification is all the marketing that happens. Right? We're bombarded every time. Instagram, Facebook, social media, the news, TV, and all that. Like, hey, you can have this, you can have that, and it's just like, what happens is, and I'm gonna get a little deep here, is a lot of times we're filling a void that we have inside. When we go buy that new, pair of shoes, when we go whatever and this and that, because then we do is we sell ourselves on this idea of, I deserve this.
Yes.
I deserve
Yes.
that. I deserve this. And it's so hard to see people. I get to work with clients from all different age groups, but to look at people down the road that don't have anything. And then I learn from them. They're like,
Yes.
it's because I went out, I did this, I did that. I didn't think about the future.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really
that's
hard.
right. We don't think about the future enough.
Enough.
Yes.
Right? We don't talk about the future. We talk about the weekend.
Yeah.
That's naturally is what we do. What are we doing this weekend? That's the first
Exactly.
conversation we have.
Yeah.
We're getting off work.
Carne asada, cerveza,
Football
vámonos.
game, whatever, but it's
Yeah.
going to be expenses.
Right,
You
right.
know?
But people save up to go to these soccer games. I
Yeah.
was talking to somebody the other day, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to a soccer game. I have buddies right now that are on their way to Mexico, right? The Astros are playing in
Oh,
Mexico,
yes,
right?
yes, they are
and they've
playing
like,
in
they've
Mexico
been saving
City.
money on like,
Yeah.
man, you're saving money to go to that. But once again, we're filling a void.
Yeah,
And
right.
once we understand what that void is, or keeping up with the Joneses, I mean, that's another thing.
yeah.
Oh, él compró eso.
I
pues
am
yo
saving
yo
for the
también.
World Cup, though. Is that valid?
No, that's right. Hey, you're saving for it.
Yeah, it's not.
But you also have all your other stuff in order too,
Yes,
as well.
you
right?
have to have your stuff
That's
in
the
order.
thing. If you have your life in order and you're saving for something, there's nothing wrong to spend it when you get there. 'Cause
Yes.
you save the money. You worked for it.
Yeah.
You're not just spending it on a credit card. You're not going on a credit card.
Right, right.
So that was
I learned my lesson with that.
different.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So you spoke about helping a family a month, and then that you're traveling. So how do you balance family, business, traveling?
Yeah, so it's a juggling act, right? It's
Yeah.
a juggling act. And you got to set priorities. Priorities
right.
first. How do you balance? It's really I mean, I use a calendar a lot, but it's priorities.
Yes.
What's important to me first, and then what's next? I don't know how else to answer that really.
Yeah.
No,
I
it is
always,
a balancing act.
Yes.
I am going to put you on the spot. I
Okay.
want you to step into that mic right now. I want you to look into that camera, and I want you to give somebody that's listening, right? You talk about one family a month, right? But right here, you can impact more families.
Yeah.
What is that one nugget? So pull that mic up right close to you so they can hear you. Pull it up next to you. Look into that camera, and you let them know, what is that one nugget that you can give them that's going to make a difference in their life today?
A small nugget would be start saving today, plan for the future, invest in yourself, and invest long term. Understand how money can make money for you. But give me a call. I can help you.
That's right.
And
That's right.
This little book right here, I can send it to you, to anybody in here in the United States. So our customers all in the United States and Canada. So
Yeah, I know
Awesome.
that's-
We'll
we
also
wanted to
leave-
make sure that we connected that point, because you know, sometimes, you know, we're watching these Instagrams, we're watching the videos, but that nugget makes a big impact, and we appreciate you sharing that.
Yes,
What were
no,
saying?
you never know. Like I was gonna say, we'll also include your information in our social medias, so that way they can also send you a message or call you. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, we
But
were
we
talking
still-
about balance. I always tell people, I'm just like, I feel like you can never have an A+ in all of the aspects of your life, right? Like mother, a wife, a CEO, or you know, it's just,
multitasking life, right?
Right.
But you can't give 100% on everything.
exactly. But
there's
you
no
have to,
such
like
thing.
you said, you have to give, like, you see what your priorities are, right? And also delegate. Because for me, it was like, I don't have time to clean the house. So, hey, hire somebody to clean the house,
You know what? That's a great point. Delegation is something that's very hard for Latinos to do
Because they want to do everything.
because they know their job really well.
Yeah.
They know their job really well, and they don't believe that the next guy, the person they delegate, is going to do a job as well as them.
No
So
doubt.
this is what I'm seeing already, and I've been seeing this, right? Is that it was very difficult to delegate, but it's something that we have to practice to do and believe in, right, in those folks, because they also need growth.
exactly.
And without the delegation, they do not grow. They continue being who they are and who you know who they are. But you want it to be better.
Yeah.
But they can't be better unless you delegate.
In that,
Delegation is very important.
right, and that shows when you're a leader, because
That's
a
right.
leader wants the team to grow.
grow. That's right.
You know, a boss is just. That's what I think. The boss is
100%.
just like, do this, do that.
Yep.
But a leader is giving them the resources and tools for them to grow and be successful as well.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. So,
Yes.
in regards to being a leader and training folks, that's something that I'm focusing on a lot within my company.
Okay.
So, I am building teams to do what I'm doing. I feel I'm passionate. I like it. I like what I'm doing. There's folks out there that are as passionate as I am, or even more, right? So, I'm finding these nuggets, and I'm teaching them to be to have their own teams. Right, so we don't have franchises. We don't call them franchises, but everybody can relate to franchise.
Yes.
So I'll use the word franchise.
Yeah.
So we have these teams that we're building, and when they get to a certain level, they've reached a franchise status. So they're on their own now, right? We kind of cut the wings, and man, they learned enough. They're doing what I want them to do.
No,
And so that's what I'm doing. I'm building teams at the moment.
That is
And this
amazing.
throughout the United States.
Yeah,
So-
and that makes an impact. It's like a business, right? Any
Yes.
business, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I had a conversation. Delegation was super hard for me
It's
too.
hard, yeah.
But once I did it, it made a big difference. And yesterday, my assistant, he was like, "Oh, you know, this." I was like, "Delegate it." So I was having my
Yes,
assistant
exactly.
delegate it. So he walked over to the next room, told the guys, like, "Hey, can I get you, you know, to do this or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Oh," my assistant kind of looked at me. I was like, man, like, why am I having to tell you this? Then am I doing a bad job to not giving you the leadership skills that you need in order to do that? But
Right.
that's great that you are building teams, because that gives you an opportunity to educate more people around
Yeah,
the
and
world.
I wanted to add also this is why we named our podcast Fuego Founders, because it's that fire in you that you might not know or don't know how to put it out, right? And then maybe you find somebody that has that spark in them, and they're like, oh wow, I can really do this. I can start also learning and growing and building teams.
Correct. So
Yeah.
in regards to team building, right? I think it's good to have a system. Create a
Oh,
system.
definitely. Our
Create a
chart.
system that you believe this is how I want to do things whenever this scenario comes up,
Correct.
right? And if you can teach that to whoever you're delegating to, right? Then now you're creating a clone of yourself.
Exactly.
Correct.
Right?
And
But
it's-
with a system, if you just tell them to do it, they're going to
They're
do how
not-
they know
yeah.
how to do it.
Correct.
And there's
Exactly.
many ways to do everything.
And it's important to have a system in
Systems
place,
in place.
in writing, that
That's
if in
right.
case you're not at the office that
Reference,
day,
right?
the next person should be able to come and be like, open the book and be like, okay, this is the step by step of what I need to do each day.
I'm chuckling because yesterday something happened in our system, and one of the guys called. He goes, "I'm not calling to complain, but on whatever and this and that." I was like, did our system, did our people in our system follow the protocol?
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah." I was like, and something got delayed by an hour and a half, but he was upset because he's very, very like meticulous and all that. And so it's like, I was like, guess what? there was a cog in the system, and guess what? The system kept flowing. Right. And that's what I try to tell my team. Imagine if we didn't, it's just complete chaos. The world's on fire type deal. But you have to have a system in place. And these are the things that we bring to you, right? As you're listening, is all these little nuggets, insights. The life journey of an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's not easy. But our job is to bring top talent here and get you exposed to another world that you didn't even know. We talked about the information, the knowledge that you need to get us to where we're at today. It's, truly amazing to hear, your story, your journey, and not only what you did, but now that you're building teams. What is next after you start building the teams? Because you're saying not just here locally, you're talking about around the world.
That's right. So what's next? What's next? Yeah, well, this is new to me at this point. This level is the building outside of Houston.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I'm focusing on now. But what's next is to train them to continue to do it. Yeah. Right. It's a nonstop effort. Continuous improvement, technology changes. So it's trying to stay informed with new technology as well and apply it however we can.
Right.
Yeah.
And just try to educate as many people as possible. And we're focusing on everybody. It's not just the Latino community, even though right now that's what we're targeting. Yeah. But because there's a huge gap in financial literacy. But man, we're helping everybody. Whoever wants to join, we're willing to help them. And we have the time to do it. We have the people. A lot of times it's not me you're talking to. There's a team of educators throughout the United States that they're certified trainers who are doing the training online. So
that's part of your legacy, right? That's like, I say, what's next, right? And when I hear you, is that legacy, right? Like you leaving that little seed in every family that you're helping, right. And then every team that you're building. That'll be here for generations, right? And I think that's what we're all here for at the end of the day, is to make an impact on other people's lives, and then so it can truly transform their lives, right?
Right.
So,
for sure.
We're going to be closing up our show here. We want to make sure that we connect you with all our listeners and all our viewers. How can people connect with you, Fabian?
So right now, everyone's they're connecting through WhatsApp. Actually, they just send me a text or a message, and we start communicating that way. And then I'll send them the classes and hours, the timing and all that.
And what's your phone number?
The number is 713-208-2807.
Awesome. And we'll put it on our links below as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, super excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the invite.
And I know today was just something very small, just for people to truly understand what you do and how you can help them. We hope that in the future, you come back and I love that to all our listeners that you said if they connect with you, that you'd be happy to send them that book that'll make a big difference in their life. Yeah. My name is Joe Ochoa Jr., known as El Gran Empresario. We're here with Mr. Fabian. We thank him for being here today, and we have
Jasenia, just the CEO. We are very grateful because we know that you are busy and you have a busy schedule. So thank you so much for your time today and sharing your knowledge and experience with the industry.
Well, thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you. See you next time.